I'm going to show a little bit of modified trapping, that I teach in all the curriculum. And so before we get into that, we'll talk a little bit about what you could still give a try, but again, this is what I call disengaged trapping or unattached trapping. In other words, there's no previous touch reference. You know what the Wing Chun call mun sao. So the idea is that if you want to give it a try from about middle range, basically, as you saw in the video from Singapore, that you start probing with your hits and moving around the guy to draw movement, defensive movement from the guy. But it could be offensive or defensive movement that you end up drawing, okay? So you have to be prepared that he's going to hit you and not always try to deflect your attacks, or that he's going to avoid your attacks. Thus, there's no trapping, right? So it's one of those kind of situations. But if you want to play with it, I recommend that you use angulation. So in other words, if he has his hands up, let me backtrack. Most people do not have a centerline guard, okay? So Wing Chun versus Wing Chun works well for learning itself against itself, right? So usually when people's hands are up, they're up like this, all right? Which means there is nothing down the middle to trap, all right? So what that means is that you have to get to the left side, okay? Or you have to have already been there, all right? So the idea is that you'll want to throw shots in such a way to where you set up that angle to do the pak sao from the angle and to follow up with hitting, okay? And then it's the same thing on the lap sao. Okay, so that in that sense, the guy has the right to right foot forward, okay? So it's something like this, and I get off over here, right? Or I draw, and then go like that, all right? Okay, so the first thing about the trap is that it's not the kind of trap that goes forward this way. Well, it does go forward that way, but what I'm saying, it's not the idea of pinning the arm against the body, but simply clearing the barrier. So once I get off to the side in whatever way that I do it, yes, it does travel forward like this, but it just goes like this, okay? And the idea is to engage and disengage as quickly as possible to get into hitting, all right? Now, the problem with this is that some fighters, when you start tapping or pulling their arms, they just simply tense up and go into a shell, okay? And in that sense, you would always have to be physically stronger in order to follow up with the hits, all right? And remember that hitting is primary and trapping is an indirect way to do it that follows the engagement continuum, all right? So you don't want to create resistance against each other. So now another way to do it is that you can actually get the angle in flight. So I could be in the middle here and start to throw, but actually I can go ahead, almost like throwing a rear straight punch, and capture that angle here and here with a pak, all right? And again, quick disengagement, hands come up, so on and so forth, all right? And then on the lap sao side, the guy has his left foot forward. Okay, so it's unmatched leads. So again, I'm probing here to get some kind of raise out of his hands. Not if he drops it, all right? And I don't want him to drop it because there's nothing to trap. So again, I maybe want to go low and high to draw the high. And then the lap sao reaches around this way. And again, you just follow up into the hitting. And again, it's not the lap sao that's deep and that pulls down to the waist, or a simultaneous hit like in Wing Chun. And again, this one is not like this, all right? But again, it's more from that fence boxing structure, bang, 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 okay? And again, if it's the type of fighter that resists the pull down, then basically it's a wasted movement. You've just created a struggle for no reason, and you may be on the receiving end of the ass whooping instead of him. All right. So basically, I don't mess with it anymore. All right. But if you want to give it a try, give it a try. It's kind of fun to play with. Okay. So basically, lop sound in general, or backhanded movements, are the most difficult. They're weak compared to forehand movements. Okay. And basically what I got from Ted Wong that I really liked, if you want to use the Wing Chun terminology, it's Kao Sao. It's that passing hand, right? So once I get off to the side, let's say for instance I do kind of a zigzagging movement. Okay? Alright, so now I'm in closer and I pass his shoulder. Okay? And if he has clothing on, basically at the end of the pass turns into a grab and the barring arm, and basically you're in hook punching, uppercut and hook punching range. All right? And at that point, if you wanted to take him down, you do an inside sweep. Boom, boom. All right? If you wanted to disengage, you would shove him backwards and go into your longer range tactics. All right? And that is a guy with his right foot forward. Okay, a guy with his right foot forward. Another way to do something like this is that you're already in very close range and he swings at your head and you duck and weave. And you do the same technique. You cow and press here. Boom, boom. And this could also be groin head, right? This could be with the forearm now and could go into the other things we were talking about where you pull the neck in and hit with the shoulder. All right? So that's another example of the way that you could play with the trapping. Oh, excuse me. But what you'll find is that even if the guy resists the movement, that it's your footwork that makes it work. So when I got to the corner and I did this passing movement and grabbed his t-shirt or whatever, and the idea is that if I stay here and he resists, that it won't work still. But what will save you or make the technique successful is that when you do the pass and press, that you continue to move around him. Okay? Here and here, which is another zigzag movement. Boom, boom. Okay? Because he can resist it, but you... Oh, fuck. I just hit my head. But you never want to fight the fucking machine, the pull-up machine, all right? The lat machine. It will always win. He said, trap this, motherfucker. Okay, so here and here, but you can see that I'm doing this lateral triangular movement to get behind him at the same time. So he can do as much resistance as he wants to. You'll still get around him, and you'll still get the body to turn enough to get a position of advantage and to fire your hits in. Then if the guy has the left foot forward, again, it's the same thing. Basically, I'm setting up this angle here, bang, bang, right? And I pass the shoulder and go into the press and fire my hooks and uppercuts, okay? I can sweep him down, okay? Or I can push him back and follow up with the more long-range techniques. So this is unmatched leads, okay? And then the second variation, again, was that he fires the swing around here, and I duck and weave, and I pass and press, and boom, boom, and move around him, shove him off, finish up, or take to the ground. So it's the same thing. So you can either set up the angle to where you're the one moving to angle off, right? Or to where he's firing at you and you just duck and weave under it. But you have to include the footwork in order to get the angle. Okay, so again, the footwork is the secret element. That secret element, the essential element to making this work. All right? So take a look at the outline of the JKD model and the engagement continuum so you understand what I'm talking about when I refer to this. And other than pulling the neck this way or pulling the neck this way, basically it's just this movement that I teach now at a closer range. All right? I still think it's possible. Again, I'll do a duck and weave. If he swings at this side here and I get over here and his arm is up, that I can do a sharp lopsaw and fire a shovel punch into the body and a corkscrew into the head. I think that has a better possibility of working than in other words, it becomes a trapping of with my lead tool. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Instead of trapping over here from a longer distance and allowing him to tense up like this. All right. And then again on this side, basically, it would duck and weave underneath here. My lopsaw would be a sharp shovel punch into the body, and then a pivot punch into the corkscrew. All right. So that's my take on trapping. And it's all based upon my understanding of what JKD is from the two Teds. And but yeah, Ted Wong wasn't real fond of trapping, but simple trap hits really can work under certain circumstances. But you really need to find out for yourself what those circumstances are. Thank you, dudes. Hasta mañana.